purely for historical purposes, right? All right, here you 1620, the magical calendar. So what it says, table of magical and cosmological correspondence appear on this page from the magical calendar of 1620. All right, amazing. So you see the Ark of the Covenant there, and Moses with the two horns. There's a very famous statue of Moses. I think it's in the Vatican where he has two horns. Um, I'm almost certain of that. I can't remember who did the carving, but it's you can Google that. But you see, the thing is, in these days, these people would hide their symbology in what they would call religious iconography. So a lot of them, they had the concepts, but they didn't have the vocabulary developed. So basically, they use the image and symbols and stuff from religious texts to um, to sort of be like a visual language or symbolic language to convey their ideas. So basically, you'd see the Ark of the Covenant, but really and truly, it's not the Ark of the Covenant, if you know what I mean. uh, yes, yes, yes. Da, 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 da. Yeah, man. All of these symbols are still prominent today. Very much prominent today. Yeah, Eve picking the fruit. But of course, really, it's not Eve picking the fruit. So here are these people in the 1600s. This is what they were dealing with. This is what aristocracy were dealing with. The magic thing in Europe is very complex. It's like it's like if you if you were it's very complex. If you were rich, how could I put this? Okay, all of the monarchies had had has wizards and stuff like that. I mean, in England they had if you check out the famous John Dee, right? They had the John Dee, right? I tell you, I need to take time to formulate my thoughts and put that out in another video. But yeah, this is the stuff they were dealing with. Right? Now, here is it. Check this out, right? Now, this is Europe. This is just a little drop of a smidgen of what they had. This is just one calendar, right? All of these symbols I could go through and explain. Elementary stuff still, but that's another story. But check this out. Yeah, man. Or some little zodiac symbols. All these stuff we can identify up to now. Elementary. But check this out, right? Here's the very next page of the book. Okay? Here's the next page, the very next page of the book. It's funny that this would say this, because when I was where it talks about this witch sucking blood, when I was a kid in the 70s, you had a woman. I don't know if she was still living, but they had a folklore around her. Basically, like she was a witch, and I won't call her name because I don't want no problem. You know, she might have family who would feel that way still. Um, but ironically, my grandmother had the same name, so my my cousin used to tease me and say, "Oh, your grandmother is so and so." Anyway, um, or this witch that they would say would do these stuff, suck the blood of children. It's crazy how these stuff go across cultures. But anyway, misunderstanding the local signs, right? See, the Portuguese in Africa. In 1483, the Portuguese explorer Diego Cao entered the Kingdom of Congo. Blah, blah. This is not a part I want. Where is it? Oh, yeah, yeah. The influx of Europeans from the late 15th century. Because when they say late 15th century, they really mean the 1400s. That's how they turn you into idiot, you know. When they say the late 15th century, that's the late 1400s, right? So just like we're in the 2000s, but we're in the 21st century. And where we were in the 1900s, we were in the 20th century. But anyway, into areas of America, the influx of Europeans from the late 15th century into areas of the Americas, which in those days, the way we now call the Caribbean or the West Indies, were called Americas too. So we got to remember that it wasn't just the so-called North, Central, and South America, but when we call the West Indies, used to be called Americas as well. Africa and Asia where indigenous beliefs had previously thrived, led to a clash of cultures. Colonizers often sweepingly called traditional religious magic and their rituals what? Devil worship, and persecuted its practitioners. All right? But here it is. They had their shit up to a high science, right? But then they looking against the Africans on the very next page and the Asians and whatever, you know. uh, this thing could be activated by driving metal objects such as nails into them. That sounds familiar. But you know, strangely enough, the voodoo doll doesn't come from Africa or Haiti, you know. Even though this is kind of alluding to some activation by nails. But the voodoo doll comes from Europe. Yeah, the voodoo doll comes from Europe. But yeah, just showing you how these people flex. You know, they got this stuff up to high science. I mean, we can still see these symbols up to today all over the place. But anyway, um, that's my ramble for today.